So the key phrase there is they got the laws changed. Now, when I was working on Wall Street, many times what I was told from my management at the firms that I worked for is go ahead and break the laws because we can always change the laws. And this is the attitude that they had on Wall Street, is that if they broke the law, it wasn't that they were breaking the law, it's that the law needed to be changed. The law hadn't kept up with the brilliance down there at Goldman and J.P. Morgan. So that just go ahead and break the law, and then we'll use the money we're making by stealing all this money from Americans to buy congressmen, to buy politicians, to go change the law. So it's part of the no-lose situation.
Well, in fact, I ran a story about why do you think they took down Elliot Spitzer? They've always known that he couldn't keep his zipper up. Why did they take him down when they did? The answer is they literally got him the day he was announcing that he was filing a lawsuit on behalf of every state attorney general in the United States against the subprime mortgage lenders, Countrywide, Bank of America, Citibank, the whole crew. And he was filing a nationwide attack on this trillion-dollar business, saying the entire business was criminal, was illegal. And what they did was they busted Elliot Spitzer on, they pulled out the file on him, and then they decriminalized usurious mortgage lending, predatory mortgage. It used to be called predatory lending. Predatory lending was like what loan sharks did. But when guys are making, like Anthony Mazzillo of Bank of America's Countrywide unit, earned over $500 million personally. $500 million personally through predatory mortgage practices. This stuff used to be illegal. You're right. You used to go to jail for this. You used to, break rocks on a chain gang. Now you get $100 million bonuses.
Right. Anthony Mazzillo, of course, of Countrywide. And part of the way that this whole Ponzi scheme works is that they're bought by Bank of America, and then Bank of America, to hide a huge Ponzi scheme and subprime mortgages over at Merrill Lynch, ends up buying Merrill Lynch. When they consolidate these balance sheets, they put hundreds of billions or trillions off the balance sheet, special purpose entity accounts. They don't include them in their balance sheet reporting whatsoever. They go to Congress. They ask for a $700 billion bailout, as Paulson did at the point of a gun at the end of 2008. They say we need this to bail out these companies, but they don't disclose that as part of their machinations, as part of the Ponzi scheme, as part of the racketeering and fraud, that they're holding back hundreds of billions more in debts. Now, a year later, a year and a half later, these same guys, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, AIG, they're coming back and saying, oh, we have another $300 billion in losses, another $400 billion in losses. We forgot to tell you about those. So they just keep basically holding the economy hostage. And when they, as you point out, Goldman, J.P. Morgan, Cantor Fitzgerald, they make money on Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers collapsing. They make money during, before, after. And now that they've run out of banks to terrorize, they're terrorizing countries like Greece. They're terrorizing countries like Iceland. And they're using the same techniques. They bring in the products, like the Goldman advising the Greek government to hide billions in debt. The Greek government collapses. They're making money on the way down. They're making money on the way up. They're making money during the transaction. So it's basically rackets all around, 360 degrees of fraud. And there's not a single entity in the United States, in any the Fed, the Treasury, Capitol Hill, nowhere, that's standing up and doing one thing. Now, one of your most famous investigative pieces you did exposed the theft of the U.S. election in the year 2000. Now, the question is, Americans respond en masse with vitriol and send in the troops outrage at the merest allegation of vote rigging in countries outside of the U.S. But when it happens in their own country, they don't seem to care.
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, I'm the one who uncovered that during the 2000 election, Jeb Bush and Katherine Harris tagged black people as felons, criminals not allowed to vote, but their only crime was voting while black. That was the election. We had about 87,000, something like that, excluded from voting, who were allowed to vote. 2004, it was actually worse. It was actually worse. 2008 was the worst election yet. I did an investigation with civil rights attorney Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We estimated about 6 million people who were turned away from the polls who had the right to vote, or had their ballots disqualified, especially mail-in ballots. We got 25 million mail-in ballots. About 3 million of those were thrown in the garbage. You mail in your vote, it didn't get counted. Come on. And we decided, okay, I mean, when it happens in the Ukraine, we protest. We withdraw our ambassador. When it happens in Peru, we say count all the votes. Whatever happened to counting all the votes? This is not happening in the U.S. We're not facing the fact. People say, oh, Obama got elected, so the election wasn't stolen. 6 million people in 2008 didn't have their votes counted, guys. That's serious. I don't care who wins or loses. Why don't we count the votes? This is a big issue. We're getting distracted by things about computer voting, etc. The big issue is people being removed from the vote registries. No one is talking about that in America. I have to report that on BBC or Max Keiser. Thank you for letting me do that.
Well, Greg Palast, thanks for being on the Keiser Report.
Got to do it again.
We'll have to have you back again soon. Greg Palast, author of the now classic, Armed Madhouse. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report. I want to thank my guests, Stacey Herbert and Greg Palast. If you want to send me an email, please do so at keiserreport@rttv.ru.